In this video, we're looking at BMAT 2020, Section 2, Question 25. So here we've got a diagram of a double-stranded DNA section being copied. So we've got strand 1 in this blue, strand 2 here, and then the new strands being formed at the bottom here. So in strand 1, we know that 30% is adenine, 28% is thymine, and 25% is guanine. And we've got three statements, and we need to find out if they're correct. So let's start with the first one. The probability of any base in strand 2, so the red strand, being guanine is 0.17. So how do you think we'd start to approach this? Well, if we know the composition of strand 1, we can work out the composition of strand 2 because they'll just be paired up, all the bases will be paired. So we know the adenine, thymine and guanine composition, but what we need to find is the cytosine because cytosines in strand 1 will pair up with guanines in strand 2 because C always pairs with G. So take a second to see if you can work out how much cytosine is going to be in strand 1. So if we add all this up, that's going to equal into 83%, which means our answer is going to be 17% is cytosine. And because we've got 17% being cytosine, we know that 17% in strand 2 is going to be guanine. And that means that the probability of any of our bases in strand 2 being guanine is 0.17%, so we know that that is correct. So our second statement, if P equals guanine and R equals cytosine, so P and R there's been a mutation. So we zoom in on that. What we're going to be looking for between P and R, we're going to need to see if there's a change in base to see if there's been a mutation, because this new strand needs to match up to this old strand. So if we imagine that our strands were together, so our blue and our red strand were bonded together, not being copied, we can see that P here, attached to this blue, is going to be bonded to that X and that red. P and X. So in our statement, we said if P equals guanine. So if we imagine P equals guanine, our X is going to be cytosine, because they always pair together. So when we are copying our DNA, we're splitting these strands up. So these strands are going to be split apart. So strand 1 is going to be by itself and strand 2 is going to be by itself. We split those up. And our new strands are going to be forming, pairing up with each of these bases. So our new strands are going to have C and G. So there's X there, that's that C. And so this means R must be G, if this was correct. So we'd need both P and R equals G. However, our statement says that R equals cytosine, and that's different to the G we worked out there. So that must mean there's been a change. There must have been a mutation. So this is correct. So finally, our last statement is that this copying process occurs during mitosis. So have a think about the cell cycle and see if you can work out when this DNA replication is going to take place. Well, if we look at our cell cycle here, we've got our different phases, G1, S, G2, and then mitosis. And our DNA replication occurs in this S phase, so before mitosis. So we know that this statement is incorrect, and therefore only 1 and 2 are correct, so our answer is E.